there's definitely been ups and downs in people's business. Okay, cool. So I was saying earlier, this year you hit Hall of Fame as a personal producer. You're going to hit Hall of Fame as an agency, which is a big deal, right? I mean, 10,000 families helped for the month, and then you help or for the year, and then you help 400 families on your own pen. So it's a big deal. And I think one thing you did a really good job of was, like, there's really only three things that matter in this business. It's getting good lead flow, getting good at dialing the phone, and then getting good at training agents how to go out and sell, right? And you adapted well when things started changing with mortgage leads. Like, you're able to get less mortgage leads in, and you did a really good job of getting internet leads, Facebook leads, age mortgage leads. So if you could right now go over what your top agents and what you're doing to make sure you have the right lead flow now, I think that'd be really helpful for everyone. We'll start there, and then we'll kind of transition to a couple other things.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. The first thing I want to say before we get into all the leads and what vendors we're using is all leads suck and all leads are great, right? So I've had my biggest sale ever in my career so far was off of a 3-month internet lead that I door knocked, and it was equivalent to about 11 applications. And I've had tons of mortgage leads and did not perform well on them at all throughout the year in certain times. And what I really came to realize was all leads suck and all leads are great. So I think the biggest thing is kind of what Warren Buffett says is don't put all your eggs into one basket. So what you want to do is diversify your lead flow and I like to have about 4 different vendors. So I'll talk to you about the 4 that we use. The first thing, especially if you're a new agent or you're bringing on new agents, is going to be a final expense lead, because it's really cut and dry what the client's looking for. And it's a very, very easy sale for a new agent to learn, and as a manager to actually teach somebody how to go about that sale. So what we like using is going to be TTC. It's a Facebook campaign where a client's going to go online on Facebook and fill out something looking for final expenses, and then Bang Bang and Happy Agent. So those are our 3 right now: Facebook, Bang Bang, and Happy Agent. The next thing is, this is the easiest supplement, is going to be the CRM, right? Now, when I look at the CRM and what we coach agents on is internet leads are fantastic. And the first lead that we try to buy, though, is going to be the final expense mail that's in there. So anything that's 1 to 3 months old, and then any mortgage leads that are 1 to 3 months old as well, because you can get such a high quality intent lead for only $9 instead of having to pay $77 or $84 for that high intent lead. And you can find those in the CRM if you're willing to go out and scout and kind of headhunt that CRM. So that's number 2. And then obviously internet leads are fantastic. I just think you have to set proper expectations for anybody coming in, where if you have 100 internet leads, you're only going to book 10% of those, 10 to 15%. So if you want to book 20 appointments purely off the internet, get 200 leads, right? 1 month, instant, new, it doesn't really matter. So that's going to be number 2. And then the third thing that we're doing is we're using a vendor. It's called Proven Lead Solutions. We'll put all the vendors in the chat after this, and it's going to be a second chance mortgage lead. So it's just, that's all they that's all they specialize in. So I really like these leads because, like I just said earlier, they're $9 to $11 a pop for a mortgage lead that's 2 months old. And the ROI on these things are through the roof. We have a ton of agents crushing it. And then the last thing that we're doing is just a little bit of telesale leads. So, statewide Facebook campaigns, statewide like live transfers with all web leads and things of that nature. But I'm not going to get too far into that because I know most of us are still in the field. So those are going to be the 3 companies. But just speaking about leads in general, I think you should have 3 vendors. You should have them on autopilot, and you should be spending around $1,000 to $2,000 every single week. And you start, producing, 40 applications, 50 applications every single month with that type of investment. So that's what we're doing for lead flow. But do you want me to clarify anything there, Zach?
I think it's important to know where to get the leads from, but also how frequently. And I've seen a lot of people who buy leads like once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, and they try to keep reworking the same ones. So talk about how important it is to have new leads to you every single dial day. And like the goal and the standard really has been 10 apps a week, for us forever, right? You can write 10 apps a week, run 30 appointments a week. So if that's your goal, which I think everyone could do that, how much are you going to spend on leads per week, and how often do you need to get them?
Yeah. So when I was brand spanking new, and I think this is going to be the best answer to that question, is I would buy leads on Saturdays and Sundays for Monday. Well, I'd start buying them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you're using a Facebook campaign, you want to place the order a week in advance as to when you'd want them. So let's say we need leads for next Thursday, then I would order my leads with Facebook, any type of Facebook vendor today, because it's going to take about a week for them to start fulfilling them. So I buy leads twice a week, Sunday night before Monday, and then Wednesday night for Thursday. And with that being said, I think if you aren't consistently buying leads, do not expect to consistently write the same each and every week, right? Because it's super easy to get in that mindset where, hey, I bought 200 leads and, you did 10 applications and, you still have over 80 people that never answered the phone, and you're like, I'm just going to work these. Well, there's a reason why they answer the phone. They're probably not going to answer again. Yes, eventually they will, but you have to go and get new leads if you want to produce the same amount that you're used to. And then what I like to do is on dial days, go and work all the leads that you just recently bought. And once you get through those, you set 12 appointments. Then you can go through your old bill and milk those and get the 4 to 6 appointments extra. And then at that point, you're resolving each and every lead. And that's really when your profit goes through the roof. But yeah, if you're not buying leads consistently over and over, don't expect to have that consistent result.
Right. It's really a simple formula, right? Which makes it hard, because if you're not succeeding, it seems like there should be something more to it, right? But it's buy enough leads, make a bunch of dials. If you're not setting appointments on dials and you're not in an office or on Zoom, you have no shot to learn. You're not going to figure it out on your own, right? So all these things are simple. It's like buy enough leads, check. If you do that and then you're making dials and you're not setting appointments, it's not because the leads suck. It's because you suck, which is okay, because you can get better, right? But that's how we all learn. That's how you learn, as you came in the office and dialed with me in Easton. I learned because I went to Atlanta and dialed with people in the office. And we always have people on Zoom, and we're always in the office, right? So you go in the office and you learn, and then you run a bunch of appointments. And like, frankly, if you run 15 appointments, and even if you don't know what you're doing at all, and you can't close 2 or 3 of them for someone who filled out a form saying that they want insurance, like, you probably should quit, because you're never going to be good at it, right? And because there are going to be people who have a check stapled to their forehead and they're just going to buy if you go see enough people. Yep. But I think we focus on the wrong things a lot, and people, and I've not seen anyone who runs 15, 20 appointments not close a couple of them, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you're really terrible, if you meet with 15 people that fill out a form for insurance, you're gonna be able to close a couple of them. And if you can't do that, then maybe you should quit, because then it's not a good fit for you, because you don't care about the clients, right?
Yeah.
But it's a really simple process. So the next thing, and I think you have to keep it that simple. And a lot of times people are like, oh, well, we have these, this system or this process and all this stuff. It's like, dude, we sell insurance.
Yeah.
No one's winning a Nobel Prize for this. We sell insurance. People ask for insurance. It's a great career and it's a noble profession, but it's not that complicated, right?
Yeah. And I think the more complicated that you make this, just the worse it's going to go for you, because it all goes back to doing the boring work. And I know most people right now are probably tuning out and they're like, I get it, but it's generally just going back to do the work, carry the water, chop the wood, go back to the basics, right? And then, like you said, one thing I do want to touch on about like getting on Zoom and getting in the office is, if you don't have an environment where you're ready to work and you're ready to learn, then it's like, how could you ever expect yourself to actually go to work at your house when your environment at your house is hanging out with family, watching movies, and doing your thing? It's like, it's going to be really, really hard to work in that type of environment. So it's a lot better to get on Zoom when everybody's dialing. You hear rebuttals and objections being handled and thrown out there. And then you can, kind of lock yourself in and create that work environment that you're looking for. And I struggled every time I've ever had like a dip in my production. It's always because I never surrounded myself with people that were doing better than me.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Always reach up, don't reach down.
What's a good, if you're not associated with people that are higher, like they're further along than you are, you can't learn anything from people who are where you're at, right? So you're just wasting your time if you're talking to your peers all the time. So next thing is, how do you remain level? Like there can be an emotional and financial roller coaster in insurance, and being an independent contractor, right?
Yeah.
Where you do good, you let your foot off the gas, then you do bad, and you charge back, and you do worse, and then you get out of the hole, and a lot of people repeat that. So what are some tips you can give to new people or anyone on here who's going through that to get out of that cycle of up and down where it's like, woo, I've made more money than I ever have. Wow, this sucks. Wow, I'm happy. Wow, this sucks. Like, how do you get out of that hamster wheel?
Yeah. So I think before, to make sure you don't get in it, just have the proper expectation that assume 25 to 30% of people are going to fall off the books, right? So that means you got to account for if you sold 10 applications, you help 10 families, 3 of those are going to fall off the books. So a third of that or whatever the percentage is not your money, right? And so that's going to fall off the books. The second thing with that being said is like, if you ran a Walmart store and you knew that 30% of, things were going to get stolen and you couldn't sell those, like, what would you do? It's like you'd sell more and you'd sell more consistently, right? So that's the biggest thing. I know there's probably some really beautiful answer that everybody's looking for, but at the end of the day, all it's going to be is find what you can commit to each and every week. If that's 5 days a week, 6 days a week, or 7 days a week, 8 hours every single day, or 6 days a week for 12 hours, find what your march is, what you're willing to commit to, and just commit to that for the year, because consistency is going to reward you 10 times, more than anything else in the business. And it's also going to help you from getting in that type of debt, getting in that type of headspace where it's like, okay, what do I do now? I need to pull myself out of this bad predicament. So that's really all it is consistency. But one thing I did want to focus on in terms of when you're doing really well, what can happen is you can start validating yourself through your bank account, where you wake up in the morning and you see more money than you ever have. And you're like, man, I'm the man. Like, I don't got to go to work. And I fell into this trap where I've seen, tons of money in my bank account. And I'm like, do I really have to go to work? Do I really have to go to war? Do I have to do this? And the answer is no, because I'm validating my actions through what I'm seeing in my bank account. So don't get tied into that. And it goes the opposite way, right? Like when you don't see any money in your bank account, you're like, it's time to go to work. So stop validating yourself through your bank account and just focus on your actions, right? So if you have to commit to, I'm going to do 5 presentations today, if you're doing telesales, or I'm going to run 20 to 30 appointments every single week, no matter what. And that's what you commit to, regardless of what the result is. That's going to take you further. And I think that's what allows people to never ride that emotional roller coaster, because you can always say to yourself, hey, today I did the work. I did my 5 presentations. Yes, some days you're going to say I sold 4 out of 5. Some days you're going to say I did 0 out of 5, but at least you did the activity, and that's what you can pride yourself in. And that's going to, in my opinion, take you a lot further, and you won't have to ride that emotional roller coaster with money going up and down.
Yeah, I think you have to commit to a certain amount of activity and a certain result, right? Like early on in business, like you got to commit. For me, I was like, I'm going to commit to doing this many appointments every single week, no matter what. And then once you get good enough, then you can commit to, I'm going to do, get this certain result. I can write 15 apps this week, and then I'm going to, work on recruiting or whatever. But you, like, as an independent contractor, it's great because you eat what you kill, right? So if you're really good, you get paid more working less than other people. But there's no participation trophy for working hard. Like, no one cares if you're working hard if you don't have results. And if you're working really hard and you don't have the results, the nice thing about what we do is where everyone's a wide open book, so you can get help from everyone, and there's no secret. So, I think if you're working hard and you don't see the results, understand that everyone works hard. You don't get some gold medal for working super hard. You have to reach out and figure out how you can get more for the amount of effort you're putting in, right? All right. So you mentioned early on with leads, basically like Facebook, internet leads, and then a lot of age mortgage mailers, right?
Yep.
Which there's plenty of those leads for everyone. We can get, if anyone wants to buy any of those leads, they definitely can. And they're easy to work, and it's easy to scale business off of those. So let's start with aged mortgage mail. Can you go through how you set those ones, what your phone script looks like, and then what you do differently in home, than you would with a new mortgage lead?
Yeah, well, you ran things in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, you were some of the best, so definitely share your phone script. But right now, so it depends on the lead. So let's say if it's anything older than 6 months, here's my approach. I go, I'll give you a quick call. So ring, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Zach, this is Wiley, just right here in Denver. I was just calling real quick. Looks like your file came across my desk and nobody closed this out. Just to catch you up, it was this form you sent in a while back for mortgage protection. It's that one that helps pay off your house if you died, got sick, or disabled. But it looks like nobody ever got this out to you. Do you remember what plan they set you up with so I can get this closed?
No, I don't.
Okay, no worries. And then right here, just to confirm, I got Deb and her age is 36. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I called. I'm just the area manager assigned to get these programs out to you and show you what you qualify for. Says here usually done with work at 6. Is that still correct? Your schedule's changed at all?
No, that's right.
Okay. So what I can do as a courtesy to you is I do got about 12 other people to see tomorrow, but I just got to drop this off, check your ID, and show you what you qualify for. Let me see. I got a 6:30 window, 6:30, 6:45. Is there any reason why you wouldn't be home then?
No, I'll be home.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, just drop my name down. And so,
What if they go through and they're like, I already took care of it, or I don't need this anymore? Like throughout, like those are the normal objections,
Yeah.
right? Either I don't remember, which is easy. You just read off the information on the sheet, right?
yeah, so I'll go through them all. So the I don't remember one is super easy. I think you just got to slow down your pace and remind them what they did. And I like acting confused on leads that are older than 6 months. Like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out the same thing, but this is what it's for. It's that mortgage protection or the postcard you sent in just to cover your house. And then you explain everything. And they're like, okay, I do remember that, somewhat or whatever it is. Now, when they go, I already have the coverage. That's one of my favorites because, guys, you're going to hear this a ton with any type of lead in general, but I always go, perfect. That's the reason for my call. I'm just the area manager assigned to do a quick review and get you the updated programs. And then I go right into my script. So quick review and updated programs, right? Perfect. That's why I'm calling. I'm just the area manager assigned to do that quick review for you and get you the updated program. It takes less than 3 minutes. You said here that you're working and usually done around 6, right? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And if you make a big deal, then it becomes a big deal.
About for the mortgages that are 3 months, like they're 8.
The same. So I don't think you need to treat it differently because most of the time, either they've sat down with somebody and they showed them something that was way too expensive. So you just got to get ready to handle it's too expensive. It didn't make sense for us. Or nobody ever called them, or the client just never picked up the phone that time in their life. And now when you call, it's like the first time they've ever heard from you. So if you just treat it like a normal, brand new lead, then they'll treat you the exact same way. Yep.
Okay. And then so I'll go through mine real quick. What I used to do for the old ones, like for the ones that are like a year plus old, I would call and go, hey, Wiley, this is Zach. I'm getting back to you. I apologize. It looks like it's been a while since you took out the mortgage protection. I'm calling to do the annual review for you. Looks like no one's been out to see you in over a year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And then he either goes, yeah, no one's been out to see me, or he goes, I never did that. So if he goes, yeah, that's correct, it'd be cool, no problem. Well, I do have to schedule a time to get out to see you. My schedule's super, and then just regular phone script, right? I'll be out there tomorrow. You off work at 6, whatever. And if he goes, no, I never took that out, go, oh, that's weird. Well, I apologize. No one got out to you. I need to get out and see you. What time tomorrow works best for you? Same thing, right?
Yep.
So just keep it super simple. And then same thing you said for the 3-month ones. If they give the objection, like I already took care of it, I was always just like, all right, no problem. Well, our office did get one of the forms in, so I do have to come see you. What time tomorrow works best for you?
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't want you to come out. I'm like, I don't need it. I got one of the forms you sent in though, and I do have to come see you so that I can get you off my list. What time tomorrow works best?
Yeah.
I think the less interested you sound, the more, oh my God, I don't want to do this you sound, the more appointments you'll set from those type of leads. And there's gold in those leads because a lot of people, what they do, because a lot of people suck at selling insurance, is they sell the cheapest product that provides no value for the client. It has no return of premium, no living benefits. So a lot of times you go out there and like people are always like, oh, I can't beat their price, right? I'm like, dude, I wasn't looking to beat price. I would go and like, hey, Wiley, it looks like the agent you met with must not have really cared about you or thought you were cheap because they didn't even show you the return of premium option.
Mm-hmm.
Did they talk to you about the one where you get all the money back at the end?
No, I never heard about it.
Like that was responsive all the time. And you get people a bigger policy, which helps them more. They get all their money back, and then it's more expensive. You get paid more. It's a win-win for everybody, right? But insurance is sold off of value, not off price. I think people miss that all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's like the same reason people buy, an Audi instead of a Toyota. Like they just want nicer stuff if they can afford it, so they will buy it. And I think people miss that. And these leads are a gold mine to get people more valuable products and put them in a better position, right? You're only ever replacing business if you can put someone into a better position, not a worse position.
Yeah.
So, what about for Facebook leads, dialing those? Any tips for people who have never dialed Facebook leads, never worked them before? I saw Paul comment something. He was like, I've never been a huge fan of Facebook leads, which I think people that haven't worked them a lot, that may be the case. So what are tips you have for people that have never ran and never worked Facebook leads with a lot of success?
Yeah, so one of my biggest months was actually specifically only off of Facebook leads. And what we've been doing is this. So our phone script is the exact same that Zach just went through, except in the beginning we're going, hey, Bob, Bob, this is Wiley. I was just giving you a call because we did get that request you sent in on Facebook, and like we let them know verbally, like on Facebook. And for some reason, I feel like that triggers them in their mind of what they filled out. And I'm like, so it looks like here, when you're on Facebook, you filled out and put your date of birth as blank. Is that right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, perfect. And then I go into the exact same thing. So I don't think there's really anything different with it except just voicing that they filled it out on Facebook. That's what we've been having success with. And I think just going back to what Zach said, you can have the best word tracks and you can have all this fancy stuff, but if you don't have the right pace and the right tone when you speak to your clients and assumptiveness, then everything else is going to fall apart. So really take account, how quickly you're talking to people and what your tonality is, because that's going to be a bigger piece of the puzzle in terms of what you're actually saying. But yeah, that's what we're doing on Facebook.
And then last thing we want to talk about today is the most important thing, the two most important things, I guess, when you're in home or doing a presentation with someone, it's exactly the same, right? Is you have to have control of the appointment. You have to let them know you're in charge, right? And then you have to get good at asking the correct questions. So for you, and I started doing this when I was 22. You started when you were like 19, I think, right?
Yeah, 20. Yep.
20. And I think it's easy to not have control when you're that age. But once you figure it out, you're like, oh, you just tell people what to do and they do it. So can you go over how you take control of the appointment and set the right structure? And then what are some good questions you have to make sure you ask everyone in an appointment to get them, that are buying questions, I guess?
Yeah, 100%. All right. So the first thing, so everyone asked me like, hey, you're really young. How did you take control? I felt personally like I never had a problem with this because I understood that I was the one with the license and these people have asked me for the help. So if I don't act like I'm in charge, then somebody needs to act like they're in charge. And that means the client's going to be in that position and take over the appointment. So the very first thing is just understand the place that we're put in where we have the license. They've asked for our help. They're willing to allow us to come over. So you just have to act like you're the person in charge because we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. Now, when you walk in the door, and I'm going to just do in-home, when you walk in the door, like your first 7 seconds are really important where I go, hey, nice to meet you. You want my shoes on or off? Boom, let's sit right down at this table. I just need you to jot some things down. And then right away, they know like, hey, I'm here for business. I'm in charge and I'm going to be leading this. So I think the first 7 seconds is really crucial. From there, there's a ton of different ways you can open up an appointment, but my favorite thing ever was essentially this mentality and this question that you are running with the herd. So what I say exactly is, hey, Mary, if you don't mind, I'm just going to hop into this just because I'm really busy seeing people today. I'm assuming you're like everybody else I sit down with, you don't want to leave a burden on your family when you pass away, right? They go, yes. And I'm like, perfect. Most people I sat down with, they either had somebody pass away that got them thinking about that or just some other event. Talk to me a little bit about why are you looking into this in the first place? And then typically they open up right there and they go, Janet just passed away, my aunt. And then I just go into detail there and figure out what type of insurance did she have? Did it help? If she didn't have any, what did that look like for the family? And then from there, I'll say things along the lines like, okay, I'm assuming you don't want to leave your family in the same position that your aunt did where they were, doing GoFundMes and trying to scrape together the money, and you're looking to protect your son, Jerry, and you don't want to leave him with that. Is that right? And they're like, yes. And I think one of the most important things is just asking questions like, okay, if you were to pass away tomorrow, God forbid, Jerry probably doesn't have, $10,000 laying around. What would that kind of look like for him? And then they'll just boom, walk you through what it's going to look like. And you go, okay, so I'm assuming that's why I'm here. It's just to help you set up a small little policy to prevent that. Is that right? And they go, yes. And so if you are assumptive and ask small little questions like that, it's going to be a no-brainer for everybody you sit down with.
Yeah, it's asking questions that you know the answer to, right? Basically, like you're saying, I assume you're like everyone else. You filled this out because you want to make sure if you die, you're not leaving a burden. So, it's asking questions, but asking good questions. And I think just be cognizant of it when you're in your appointments. Make sure that, like, a lot of people go, "Hey, why'd you fill this out?" That's a bad question. Say, "Hey, I assume you filled this out for this reason." Question mark at the end, right? It's a statement, basically the question, and it puts the idea in their head, and it is why they filled it out. So I appreciate it. This was we'll make sure we share all the stuff in the chat about different links for for leads, and I think this is something you all should watch back for how Wiley sets appointments. That's a big part. And then there's 3 phases of this, right? If you have enough leads and you're making a lot of dials, you're not setting appointments, make sure you're on Zoom with people that can teach you how to dial. If you're sitting with a lot of people and not selling, make sure you're getting with people and having them tell you what you're doing wrong in your presentation or your in-home. But the only way to figure out if you're bad on the phone or bad in the home or wherever your issues are is to have enough activity so that we can pick apart where the issues are. So make sure you're getting enough leads and you're making enough dials and you're putting enough work in so that whoever your manager is can figure out where you're lacking and help you fix the problems there. So appreciate y'all. Thanks for getting on. If anyone needs anything, as always, reach out, and everyone have a great rest of the week.